into our team. So the first team that I'm going to be talking about is the Chicago Cubs. For the most part, me and Parker are looking since the All-Star break, which was, I think, July 18th was the first game they played after that. So the Cubs are 13 and 15 since that. So again, not really terrible, but just
Mhm.
around a 500 team. But the crazy thing is they now find themselves 9 games back of the Brewers in the NL Central, and that's of August 19th, which is when we're recording right now. That is the craziest thing about all of this is that the Cubs haven't really been playing like terrible. It's just the Brewers have been 23 and 5 since the All-Star break and have pulled away and have made it pretty much an insurmountable lead. Kind of what has gone wrong, and the main two things I want to hit on are the hitters and the bullpen. The first guy I want to talk about is Kyle Tucker. I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of the news surrounding him. He's actually getting rested right now by the Cubs to kind of reset, get some time off, and hopefully kind of find his footing again. His slash line is, since the All-Star break right now is 182, 333, and 239 slug. That's a 77 WRC plus. So yeah, really just bad numbers and very uncharacteristic for a guy that walks more than he strikes out. I feel like guys like that are less prone to kind of huge slumps like these. So that's how you know it's kind of a really big issue where it might be something mechanical in that sense. And I kind of try to take a look at what it might be that's causing it. I did notice so far, so in the first half, he had a 30% ground ball rate. That's a little bit below league average. And in the second half so far, that's near 50% at a 46 and a half. So putting the ball more on the ground, I was like, okay, so something must have changed from his swing because that's about a 16% swing. And I tried my best to kind of put two videos side by side of Tucker's swings back from like May versus now, or at least at a point where he was swinging it good. And I'll put the screenshots on the screen so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But it kind of looks like he's getting back in May when he was sitting really good. He was way more into the swing and way I the best way I can say is way more into it and like not coming out of it too early. Whereas now it looks like he's not as committed to the swing and not really using his lower half to get through with it. And you can kind of see it in the bat. The bat just looks so much lower a couple months ago, and that allows him to kind of get under it and get through it. And now it just doesn't seem to fall as low to the ground through his swing. And I think that's why he's topping it more is because he just can't get as low on it and he's getting on top of it more. The best way I can compare that to is golf. If you play golf, the main idea is to try and stay down in the shot. If you don't, you're going to top it. And I feel like that's kind of what's happening now, where you're seeing that ground ball rate spike up. And I think that might be what Tucker is having to go through right now. And again, I think
Yeah.
it's probably at a way higher level than that. That's just something that I looked at and I'm guessing about, but that could be a possibility. Another thing I noticed is this opposite field hit rate is also down. And just when hitters are struggling, I feel like they can hit, or when hitters are hitting good, they can hit to all parts of the field, which Tucker is just not doing right
Yeah.
now, not staying behind the ball, stuff like that. Pico Armstrong, I don't really, I don't think there's anything mechanically wrong with him because all the talk with PCA is the chase rate. It's 42.7%, which is second percentile in the MLB, so super, super high. Like he swings just at a lot of pitches, whether it's in the zone or out. And I think what comes with that is super high highs and very low lows. And that's what's happening in August right now. 154, 228, 192 slash line. 24 WRC plus, a 31% strikeout rate. Comparatively, he had a 21% in July, so it's jumped up 10% points. I guess we'll see what the Cubs do next year, where are they going to make an adjustment to have him swing less and change his approach a little bit? I think if they do that, you might see his power kind of dip down a bit. So that's kind of the trade-off you might have there. Or PCA will just always be this player that is kind of up and down throughout the season, where he has super good streaks like we saw earlier this year, and then he can have some really rough spells like we're seeing right now. So that's contributing to it. Michael Bush is another guy I wanted to bring up. I think the first couple months of the season, I mean, for most of the season, I think he's been a very underrated hitter and one of the better first basemen in the league. He's just been slumping in August. Not much to say there. 151, 179, 340. That kind of leads me into just overall hitting woes in the since the All-Star break. They pretty much have the third worst team OPS.
Oh,
In this stretch. 229 average, that's third worst. 299 OBP, that's third worst. And 367 slug is also third worst. Not a lot of runs scoring, not a lot of hits. That's just kind of, you're not going to win a lot of ball games if that's what you're doing. So at the bare minimum, I think you could point a lot of their struggles to the offense here. And I kind of went a little deeper into some of the players to show that.
Mhm.
And the other big thing I want to talk about, I guess, is the bullpen. It's a 4.93 ERA since the All-Star break. That's good or not good. That's seventh worst in the MLB. And I guess my main takeaway here is the Cubs did a pretty good job of nickel and diming their bullpen to a pretty good bullpen staff at the earlier part of this year, but I don't think you can do that forever. Chris Flexen was not always going to have 15 innings of no earned run like baseball pretty much. Drew Pomeranz eventually was going to struggle. Moving Ben Brown to the bullpen, kind of I don't know what they need to do with him, but he's been really bad coming out of the bullpen too. And so it's concerning now too, because obviously I'll get into Kittredge in a bit, but that was their one bullpen ad, and Palencia is really good as the closer, and a couple other
Mhm.
nice pieces in here, but it's just not a very strong bullpen, especially when you look at the other bullpens in the National League and what those teams did to improve their bullpen. The
Yeah.
Cubs definitely did not do enough, and you're starting to see those struggles come out more than they did at the start of the season. And really quickly, weak trade deadline moves. I know this is kind of outside of the Cubs' playing control, but the guys they did get have not been good. Andrew Kittredge, as I mentioned earlier, 7 innings pitched with a 5.14 ERA. I mean, again, it's a very small sample size, but could he do better? Maybe. I don't know. Willie Castro, he has 89 plate appearances with the Cubs, OPSing below 400. Hasn't
Wow.
really clicked yet. He just hit a home run today, actually, which I'm sure that felt great, but hasn't had any really bad at all. And then Mike Soroka was the kind of the starting pitching help. And I was talking to Parker about this before we recorded, but I wrote down this is not a win now move. And what I mean by that is I read an article before this talking, or Jed Hoyer, who's the Cubs GM, was saying um, they knew that Soroka was experiencing a velocity decrease in his fastball. Pretty much in June, his fastball was sitting around 94. And a start on July 23rd, it was averaging 90 miles per hour. So they did see that, and they still decided to go and make a move for him. And I don't hate it from that lens because Soroka has a couple years left of control, but I do hate it from the lens of if you want to win now and be a
Yeah.
team that's competitive this postseason, this was not really the guy to go and get, whether that was injury that was bothering or whatever it was that was causing that velocity dip. It came up then, and then it came up again in his first start in the Cubs, and he's on the 15-day IL right now. And even if he was healthy and there wasn't any velocity concerns, Soroka's not really a guy you're worried about in a postseason matchup. Like if he gets a start, the spot the Cubs are in right now, I really was not a fan of this move. And I have a quote from Hoyer here. There's real upside in Mike, and we have a lot of different development opportunities to make him even better. We knew the velocity was sort of trending down. We obviously talked through that extensively. We felt like, given the market and given the asking price and given all those different things, we felt like it was a good bet to make. So I don't know. I don't really agree with that way of thinking, and I just wish they did more to address like a win now mentality instead of just like a semi buy. I don't like them sitting in between here. So the Cubs NL Central hopes are probably too far away at this point now. So I think the main focus is just getting right for the postseason, getting your bats right for the postseason. Um, we've seen stretches where this Cubs offense looks unstoppable, and I think that's the main priority, right? Is getting back to that point and just making sure all your bases are covered, everything is set to go, and you can start thinking about, competing in the postseason. Because I think if you face the Cubs in a 5, 7 game series right now, it might not look good for them, and that's just kind of how it's been for them
Mhm.
since the All-Star break. So
I agree. I do think their divisional hopes are down the drain now. I think 9 games is very tough, especially with how hot Milwaukee's playing. Like the Cubs would have to win at like a 90% clip. And even then, Milwaukee's winning higher than that recently because they
mhm.
just ended their 14 or 15 game win streak, whatever it was. So my biggest worry before the All-Star break, when the Cubs were doing good and they were winning the division, my worry was their pitching, their starting pitching especially. This might sound crazy, but I'm almost more confident post All-Star break with the Cubs in the playoffs
Hmm.
because now if they're starting to form that like top three, top four rotational like playoff arms in Shota, Boyd, and then either probably Horton. Horton's been absolutely amazing. So it'd be like those three. I guess what I'm saying is I'm very confident in their hitting returning to what it was or close to it. And now I'm getting more confidence because this rotation has been good, that this rotation can actually be competitive in the postseason. Because before the All-Star break, I was like, okay, their hitting's great,
Yeah.
amazing. but I don't have any confidence in the playoffs with this rotation. And
Yeah.
now I'm starting to get that confidence. So I do feel fine with about them. But yeah, divisionals hopes I don't think it's there anymore. But if you're a Cubs fan, you know that these hitters that Travis went through, you know that they're gonna get back to where they were. Kyle
Yeah.
Tucker's not gonna have a 450 OPS the
Yeah.
rest of the year. He's gonna return to that 800, 900 OPS guy eventually. He just has to get right.
Hey, it's Travis from the Loose and Groovy Baseball Show. Just wanted to say thank you for watching today's video. This video was actually cut from a full-length episode, which is going to be available on Spotify. I will leave the link for that down below in the description if you were interested in listening to the full episode. Once again, available on Spotify. Thank you and have a great day.